explains a lot, huh? Your arm is in there. Get in there.
Alright.
Please keep your hands and feet inside the vehicle at all times. Thank you.
What do you mean? What do you mean?
He had his arm out. That's why he was sitting up like that.
I need some storage bins so bad.
I know it.
Slack, and then it's actually doing some brakes are way at the bottom. So that's literally it. This is neutral, down goes backwards, forward goes forward. Forward, reverse. I'm going to glance and make sure that these tires are straight, because I need to back out pretty darn straight. Alright, I'm going to very carefully, I'm not giving it any gas. I haven't given it any gas this whole time. Back it off until it starts to roll, like you let off the brake in a car and it's idling. You'll feel it start to go. Got it? Good? I want it to go higher than all this stuff so you have more room to move around. Left. All right. Keep going. All right. What you want to do is go straight, so a smidgen right. Straight, right. Keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. Right there. All right. So I want you to go forward 2 feet, and then we're going to do a hard left. I want you to clear that backside, basically. Go forward. Going, keep going. Hard left, right there. All the way to the left. Don't move. All the way to the left. Your buzz is back off. Right there. Now, let off. All it's going to do is twist me in the correct orientation. Keep going, let it go, let it go, let it go, let it go. Let it go, let it go, and stop. All the way. Keep going. Good.
You're going to tell me that I can't see.
I got you, I got you. Keep going, keep going. I can look at the tires. Keep going. Keep going all the way. You're halfway point. Keep going, you're good. Let it go, let it go, let it go. Alright, stop. Now turn to your left. Basically, you want to go this way and then do a hard turn right on, hard turn into your tool cabinet. Neutral, kill it. You have to add forklift operator to your resume.
Who am I going to give it to?
You can put your resume in at Jay's Custom Creations anytime. I got you. You're doing great. You're doing great. I've been waiting so long to cut open this wrap on the dust collection. I'm okay.
Yeah, Tyler, we're not gonna do school today. I just don't feel it. I need to, but I don't feel it. We'll just catch up as we go this week.
But there's more history for me tomorrow. That might mean to test. Did you like tests when you were in school?
Tests.
Tests.
Yeah.
You did?
Oh, no. I was saying yes to the way you said that.
I like tests, except for math.
Tests.
It isn't tested.
Tests.
It doesn't have that extra E in it.
Yes, okay.
I don't really care for math tests, but I like all of the other tests.
It is many, many days later, and I got to be honest with you. This process right here, setting up the shop, has been one of the hardest things that I've done on this entire property. It really has, because this shop is so much more than any of my other shops. On this side of the shop, this whole side of the shop has to be a working space, a woodworking space. On that whole side of the shop, it has to be a warehouse where I can conveniently access stuff for not only the business, but for household stuff. On that corner over there, it is currently the living space in a rectangle that goes this way, which will eventually be a rectangle that goes that way. The whole apartment layout and all that has just evolved into all kinds of craziness, and what we find out is the original plan seems to work the best, so we're reverting back to that. So what about all of this stuff going on here in the working space? Well, there's so many hurdles that are coming to light, and I want to set this space up so that there's no deal breakers. Every time that I have put it all in SketchUp several times, and there's 3 layouts that work perfectly on SketchUp, and then I'll put it in place here, and there's one deal breaker that I'm not going to do it. So anyway, it's delayed me quite a bit, which is okay because I have no pressing need right this second or in the immediate future to really get back to woodworking. The time will come. The time will come, but it's not right now, and that's okay. There's a lot more pressing issues outside. So let me explain the method of this madness. First off, the dust collection was on that back wall, and it went to the opposite wall. Still using this first purlin as the main line, but ultimately what the deal breaker was there is I eventually want to get to a point where the fine particles are exhausted outside. I'll still have the cyclone separation for the large stuff, so I'm not just making a mess outside, but ultimately the fine dust has to go outside. There's no convenient way to get the fine dust outside on that wall. Plan B with that was to put it underneath the lean-to over here. Well, that works, and it'd be great to have that outside under the lean-to. However, that would require some type of extra cost to get the outside exhaust pipe from there through the, out the back, and then also twisted in such a way that it doesn't blow into anything right there. So the solution is, why not just put it on that back wall? I can use the filter stack for right now, and when the time is right, when I have everything set up ready for me to really make a nice outside connection, all I have to do is twist the motor on top and point it outside, basically. So it's over there. This has also been kind of not frustrating. I don't want to use the word frustrating. Challenging. Challenging is a better word, because one of the deal breakers was setting up. I did not want to dedicate permanent space to a large CNC if that ends up not happening. It's a big budget concern, and it's still a coin flip whether or not I'll get another big CNC. I want one, but it's a coin flip. I just want to throw that out there. The plan with that was originally to put it on this wall over here. Right as you come in the door, there'd be a long CNC right there, and that's because I can bring materials in through the door and just turn the forklift and go right there. The problem with that is I don't want to dedicate that space to it and have a temporary layout for the shop tools, and then if that doesn't happen, then I have to redo all the shop. I just want to do this once and be done with it, right? So I'll put an image on the screen. That is the final, without question. It is going to be laid out that particular way. And as you can see, the dust collection is off on its own in the corner. Has to run, I guess, about 25 or so feet before it hits the woodworking tools, but I have the option. It's an option. It's not baked in 100% where everything else is going to change if it falls through. I have the option of, if the CNC happens, that's where it's going to go, straight direct path from the big door. Nothing's being blocked. It took me way longer than expected. And also it took a lot of putting stuff in place to realize obstacles. Again, deal breakers was what I was after. Find a deal breaker and make sure that it's eliminated. Make sure that that is addressed before anything is set in stone. The tools are finally where they're at, and I'm going to show you how much that all of this truly does make sense. Made the lens a little bit wider so you can see what's going on. So once again, this is a huge challenge because this is temporary living space. This rectangle will eventually be on that wall, opening up all kinds of other space. But dust collection is always going to be tucked away right there, right next to a door to get it out. Also a clear path this way to get it out. If wherever I want to get the dustbin out, that's going to be fine. I put a little text on the screen earlier. I'm not subject to any building code restrictions, any electrical restrictions, any code restrictions at all. I'm really not. So I know that that is kind of close, but it's also plenty far enough away that it's not in the way. I'm okay with that. I know some of you out there are probably screaming about that. Well, keep screaming because I'm okay. Anyway, dust collection comes up. This gives me a nice permanent location for my office, which is actually awesome. There's going to be a wall here about where this 2x4 is, and it comes out, if I'm not mistaken, to the left side of this window. So right about where I'm standing, this will be a pathway to get in and out. This gives me a nice little office area tucked away. I still have a window to look out, which I absolutely love while I'm working. And then it opens up into the wood shop. So dust collection has started, and then this is when I hit the roadblock and I had to stop. This will allow me to branch off to the left if the CNC is a thing, and if it's not, nothing changes. If the CNC is not a thing, nothing changes, and that's a huge deal. So dust collection comes through, and I have my first cluster of tools. This is the ripping station. Now, keep in mind, every one of these tools, I wanted no deal breakers, so I had to have good in-feed and out-feed for absolutely everything. Back side of the table saw, I've got like 15 feet of in-feed. Great, perfect. On the front side here, I have 9 feet from the back side of the blade to the front side of the jointer, and that's only for wide stuff. So if I'm ripping a full sheet of plywood, which I'll never do anymore, but if everything is just, checking as many boxes as possible, if I need to rip a full sheet of plywood, nothing's going to stop it up there. There's going to be my 4 foot by 8 foot table right here. I love a 4 foot by 8 foot table in the shop. It's going to be right here, and that gives me some outfeed. I'll use this outfeed table in the meantime, but it'll give me a bunch of outfeed to support that before it hits anything like that. So what about stuff that's longer than 8 feet? Well, everything's positioned perfectly. The blade is, where's the blade? Blade's somewhere right here. And if I'm ripping something long, that length goes in between those two tools, and I don't see ripping anything super wide that will hit both of those tools. So this fits that. Also, the planer is further that way to give me even more ripping length. I measured this, I think it was like 12.5 feet before it hit anything. So that's great. Right here is my bandsaw. This cluster right here, this orientation table saw bandsaw is absolutely perfect. I've done this many, many times because at a bandsaw, you're never using the left-hand side. At a table saw, you're never using this right-hand side over here. So this is all dead space. And once again, a bandsaw, dead space left. I have it tucked in here into the rails. These are 52-inch rails, and I can probably count on my hand the number of times that I've used 52 inches of capacity. So I actually posted these on Facebook Marketplace. I'll swap with anybody who's got 36-inch rails. In the meantime, I'm just tucking the bandsaw in. So again, a ripping station with plenty of in and out. Go to this big bandsaw. That's my ripping bandsaw. Ripping station, plenty of in and out. This is my curve cutting bandsaw. The biggest thing that I'll ever do on a bandsaw is a big circle tabletop. I don't know if I'll ever do one again, but here's the space for the big circle tabletop. So no deal breakers, no deal breakers, no deal breakers. This also gives me as much wall space as possible I only have 2 tools up against the wall, and I'll show you in a second. So this creates a nice little cavity to start building shelves and a wall for storage like I did over there. This particular shop construction, because I'm not heating and cooling it and I'm not worrying about a tremendous amount of insulation, that's basically all the insulation that I wanted, which isn't much at all, just to keep the temperature change when the sun beats on it, right? If you go outside underneath that in the dead of summer, you might feel a little bit of heat difference when the sun is on this versus when a cloud passes, because there's nothing there and you can feel the heat radiating down. So what this little bit of insulation does is it checks that box, but it also gives me these cavities. These, I'm calling them closets, to be honest with you, to build these out in various different ways. This sounds so simple, so insignificant, but for me, I finally have a little closet, a little cavity tucked away for all my cameras and tripods to be out of the way, so doggy number 1 and doggy number 2 don't plow into them, which they have been doing. Tucked away, stays away, everything. I like it. It's very basic right now, but I like everything that's going on. Then we have the router table with essentially a closet behind it to build out some shelves or anything that's necessary. A whole section here to build out anything that's necessary. I really like this. Got one of my cord reels mounted, and that's already just been, man, you should have done that sooner. The simple things in life, you know. The 4 foot by 8 foot assembly table here, these rails on the table saw are 7 feet if I'm not mistaken, and it's going to start at that side over there, so it'll be another foot this way. So depending on where I position the bandsaw, like inches, we're talking about inches here, I may or may not have some outfeed support by this big table at this. Regardless, that big table is staging for materials out on the bandsaw, and of course in and out at the router table. So this, I've talked about this in previous shops. I love a 4 foot by 8 foot table as a big assembly table or a catch-all table or just a general work table as the center spoke of a workflow wheel, right? A center spoke of a wheel, of a center hub of a wheel with spokes going all to the different stations. This table will serve the table saw. This table will serve the bandsaw. It will serve the router table. It'll also serve the jointer and planer. So moving on to this next area, there'll be a walkway right here, and then the jointer. Let's talk about the jointer. That's one of the first tools in the milling sequence, right? One of the first. So if I'm bringing a bunch of materials in and staging them on sawhorses right here, I can either go immediately to the miter saw, which will be on that wall, I'll talk about in a second, or to the jointer right here. Nothing's in the way. Again, this table right here will help store materials or stage materials for this process. So I have, I believe, 10 feet right now, and it will be, I'm sorry, 12 feet right now, and it will be 10 feet once that is built over there. The miter saw station built up against that wall. All of that works. Plenty of infeed. Every bit of that works. This is going to be a little tool island with 2 tools, the jointer and the planer, and everything's wide open. Even on the planer, I have plenty of infeed and outfeed, and I have 2 material staging areas for this. The big table behind me, and then also my workbench is going to live in between these 2. Now this pallet's stopping me from tucking this in, but the arm on the jointer fence, right? This has to extend out quite a bit. So you think about this when you buy a jointer, the back side of the machine can't go up against the wall because the whatever length of capacity you have here, this fence has to shift back for the most part further than the back of the machine. So that's an obstacle. This can't go right up against one of those walls. It just doesn't make sense. We're gonna have too much wasted space behind it. Therefore, this gets tucked in right behind these 4 rails. Once that pallet's gone, this gets tucked in quite a bit, and this overhanging the bed by a few inches isn't going to matter because this is higher than the maximum capacity. This height difference is the maximum capacity of my planer here. Now, while that height difference is going to change when I move this pallet, yes and no, because I'm going to build a little platform for this to sit on. That way I can move this with the pallet jack. If whatever reason I've got some major random weird scenario where I need to joint something super long,
I want to be able to just lift it up with a pallet jack and move it, say, a foot or two that way and set it back down. That way I can do everything that I need to do and put it back without having to worry about dust collection or electrical. So again, no deal breakers so far. Everything is working perfectly. There's going to be a little bit bigger than this right here. Even if it was this space, that'd still be fine. A little bit bigger walkway this way. Then there'll be a little bit bigger walkway this way. So on this wall, we only have the router table and my horizontal sander, which that's a useful tool. This gets used so much more than what it's ever been seen in my videos. This is one of those jack of all trades, and I use it all the time. I'll never give up a horizontal sander. I love this thing. So a sanding station and a grinding station right here. This will give me somewhere up here to hang all my belts. Perfect. Maybe even inside that little closet. There you go. I do have electrical on the left side of every one of these windows and doors on this wall. That's not being blocked. It visually is blocked, but you can still plug things in, no problem. No big deal at all. My workbench will be right here, obviously. And all right, so my workbench real fast. This is my leg vise. And if I put something in there and try and hand saw, my elbow's in the way. So I can't hand saw at that vise, but I can still put stuff up there in plane. And of course my vise over here to clamp things on end to plane the top. Nothing is blocking this side at all. If I need to do some type of hand sawing, I can come to this side and use this vise, and there's nothing in my way this way for my hand sawing. So again, no deal breakers. The left side of this sander has an attachment right here to be able to use this drum right here. For the majority, I've used this several times in the past with bigger items, but I only pretty much use a quadrant of this drum. And if I need any length, let's just say, a bow and arrow, like if I'm that particular shape, I'm not saying sanding a bow, but that particular shape, you got something really long with an inside curve that you want to sand, the window goes up and you can put stuff in and out of the window. Super easy for those very random scenarios. So no deal breakers. Quick little grinding station right by the door, sanding and grinding all right here. Also right next to all my tools. This is just a very handy setup. This little triangle here, sanding, grinding, working, mechanics tools, and all my other tools will go up over here. Very, very convenient. Brings me to this wall. This wall will be the miter saw station, and I'm going to experiment with this wall. This is kind of sort of a low priority right now. I'll work this out in time, but the miter saw is going to be somewhere over here, and I'll have at least 8 feet of stop block on this side and then roller stands on that side. So I can have great capacity without dedicating a really long wall of no windows. That was another roadblock for me. I initially, on SketchUp, on paper, it makes sense to put the miter saw on this wall at that biggest opening right there, but it kind of sort of doesn't make sense, because if it's a sliding miter saw, it has to stick out too far in this direction over there, and it just doesn't make sense. It can stick out quite a bit over here and it doesn't matter. So I'm not sure how I want to do the storage over here, but this wall is going to be themed for storage as much as possible. I don't know if that cart stays or what. I don't know if I'm building a bunch of stuff. I don't know yet, but this wall will be the storage. And I want to build some type of almost passive dust collection for the miter saw. Something that catches into a big hood and falls down into a drawer, and the drawer can be pulled out and emptied. John Heiss, ibuilder.ca, one of his very first miter saw station that he put on his website years and years and years ago, we're talking 2012-ish, he built a setup like that, and I built it actually in my first apartment woodshop, and it worked great. It really did. So I want to do something like that with maybe a low-powered fan, just to create a draft to pull this stuff down and settle down into a box, and that fan will pull out the fine dust and just keep that draft going. This side will not be hooked up to the big dust collector, and I'm okay with that. So yeah, this whole wall gives me space for the miter saw. There's a clear path in front of it for egress in and out, as far as getting materials in and out. And if I spin around, everything that has the longest in feed and out feed requirements is in line with the longest dimension of the shop. Perfect. No deal breakers. Perfect. No deal breakers. Perfect. 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 No deal breakers. Everything is set in stone, and it can finally be hooked up. Hopefully that made sense. Again, I'll put the layout on the screen, and there's just nothing in the way. Everything has perfect in-feed and out-feed. Everything has long-term resilience as far as where it'll be, how it'll be used. I don't see any roadblocks. It's adaptive for the future if the CNC becomes a thing, and if not, nothing really changes at all. Everything has finally found a home. I'm going to get this space set up when the time is necessary. Right now, a lot of necessary time is spent outside.
I went out and tried to cut a pine tree down, fell through the ground like Alice. Oh, what a sight. This must be a nest. I got rocks and sticks against my chest. I'm Alice. Dear Queen of Hearts, I'ma grow you white roses so you can learn to be kind.